How much would you pay for this burger? Now, how much would you pay for this burger? Hey, everybody. I'm Steve Green with Bill Whittle and Scott Ott. This is Right Angle, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. And gentlemen, Wendy's is going to try an experiment where they change the prices on their menu depending on the time of day and how busy they are. According to New York Post, they're preparing what they call an Uber-style surge pricing model, where the cost of menu items will fluctuate throughout the day based on demand, meaning a Dave's burger will cost more during the lunch break or dinner rush. The plan is set to be tested in a high-stakes rollout next year. CEO Kirk Tanner announced the new system on a call with investors, noting that the company will invest $20 million on high-tech menu boards that will be able to update prices in real time without incurring additional overhead costs. Bill, Elon Musk saw this story on Twitter or X, whatever we're calling it now, and said, seems like a good idea. Costs are fairly constant, but demand varies. Lower cost meals available off hours makes sense to Elon Musk. What say you?
It's the worst idea ever. It's the worst idea ever. Whether people like it or not, psychology is psychology. So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that the price, that the current, that their upcoming highest price is the current price that they have now. Okay, it's not a price increase, right? So let's just say, for the sake of the argument, that everything is in fact a discount, right? They're going, for the sake of the argument, they're not going to raise prices during busy hours. Just for the sake of the argument, that's going to be their price during busy hours, and then they'll lower it as it turns out, based on when things slows down. Human beings don't function that way. They don't remember the discount. They remember the price increase. They remember the time they were here and got it for $2, and now they want $3.45 for it or something. It's a terrible idea. And imagine, I can give you one example of why it's a terrible idea, because let's say you're standing in line at Wendy's and the guy in front of you gets his hamburger for $2.99, and then you step up to the plate and you get your hamburger for $3.25. People are going to lose their minds over this. I'm telling you. The human animal is a savage, especially when it comes to cheeseburgers. I mean, we're this close to being, red in tooth and claw. And in all seriousness, I really think it's a bad idea, only because people don't see the discount; they see the markup. And I think I'd be more angry seeing the price go up if I was standing in line in front of a person. And by the way, that works backwards. By the way. On the downside of the curve, I'm standing in line. I pay $3.25 for my burger, and then the guy behind me gets his for $2.80 or something like that, right? Now, next thing you know, murder is uppermost in my mind.
Yeah, and we have enough behavior problems at some of these fast food chains as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I see videos on Twitter all the time of somebody getting mad because they didn't get their ketchup right, and then they go ahead and just. They trash.
Hop the counter and smash everything. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. This is just inviting more of that. Scott, another Twitter user had a fairly good idea on this, and I didn't catch their name. They said, once our AI assistants can seamlessly inform us when the prices will be lowest, this will be potentially a good idea. But in the meantime, no one wants to have to spend mental effort on burger arbitrage.
Exactly.
Did you ever believe, Scott, that you would ever hear the phrase burger arbitrage used in a non-ironic, humorous way?
No, but I am glad I lived long enough to hear it. This is something I'm going to tell my grandchildren about. A couple of things occur to me here. First of all, I don't want to dismiss it out of hand because I understand the basic concept of supply and demand, and as demand increases, that pricing can go up. However, in this particular application, a couple of things. Number one, they should immediately fire the CEO or whatever jackwagon came up with this idea. Not the idea of the flexible pricing or the surge pricing. The idea to immediately go out and spend $20 million on new menu boards. So if you decided to test this in a particular state or district or region, and you said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have the pricing on your app on your phone. And so that way they don't have to spend $20 million on new equipment. They do a couple of software changes, and then you've got that dynamic pricing. And that could literally be geolocated down to the store level, and it would be great. So wasting the $20 million is a little ridiculous. I think Bill is right about once people have seen it at a lower price, they will not be able to deal with the fact that it's at a higher price. I just had an example of this the other day. The store where I work also has a coffee shop in it that's like a franchise coffee shop. And for like the last, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months maybe, they said that people who work there could get a large coffee for $1. And I thought, well, I wasn't really drinking much coffee there, but now I go there every day with my friends before work, and I get a cup of coffee for $1, and it's a large cup of coffee. Well, all of a sudden that disappeared with no warning the other day, and they said it was now $3.25 for the same large cup of coffee. And I was like, $3.25? Who spends that kind of money for coffee? Well, that's what it used to be. Like, that was the regular price before they gave us the deal. And so at first I thought, well, screw that. I'm just not going to drink coffee here anymore. I have enough coffee before I leave the house. And then I thought, wait a minute, how much does a small coffee cost? Well, it turns out that a small coffee costs $1. And so guess what I'm getting now? And I found that I can nurse that small cup of coffee all day long, just like I was nursing the large cup of coffee. And so the customers will change their behavior if you change your pricing strategy. The other thing I don't think they've thought all the way through is staffing allocation. So right now, one of the big challenges in these low-wage retail settings and fast food restaurants is keeping the place staffed when the need is greatest. So if you suddenly change the pricing levels at different times of day and you cause a rush at a time when you wouldn't normally have had a rush, did you staff up for that? Were you staffing for your slow times?
And Scott, to take that a step further, let me interrupt here for just a second.
Go ahead.
If you're doing that, the whole purpose of this pricing is to reflect your lower labor costs during non-rush periods. But if you're going to turn those into rush periods, that price cut doesn't make any sense anymore, does it?
Yeah. Now, and maybe they've already played three-dimensional chess with this. You know those geniuses at Wendy's. I'm sure they're way ahead of us on this. But the final thing that occurred to me, because I do work in retail, is that
we'll never catch those. We'll never catch those Wendy's boys.
Is that we drop our prices as crowds increase. So essentially, we have a sale, and when we have a sale, more people come. And so the store is really busy when the per item price is at the lowest. But if we reverse that and said, okay, from now on, if it gets busy in the store, we're going to jack up our prices, I think people would just change their behavior. So what you may do,
get busy anymore.
Yeah, you may now create an atmosphere where people are like, what does lunch mean anyway? You can have lunch any time of day. How about a 3:00 lunch? I just don't think they've thought through all of the ramifications of this. That said, I'm glad people are experimenting with stuff in the free market. And this is a great opportunity to see the beauty of free market destruction.
Yeah, and we need more of that, actually. I love it when established players get undercut and outcompeted by the little scrappy mammals. That's how we get rid of those stale dinosaurs. I wrote a column about McDonald's a week or two ago for PJ Media, and there's these absurd prices for Big Mac meals. It can be as much as $18 in a couple of locations. And I did some research, and believe it or not, there's less variation in Big Mac pricing than you might think, even though it looks a whole lot different if you're just looking at the dollar sign on the menu there on the board. But from everything that I looked at, and there's a website that actually tracks McDonald's prices, any zip code, any location you want to go to.
Of course there is.
And what I found is that the price of a Big Mac runs between 50 and 75% of the prevailing local minimum wage. That's it. So if your minimum wage where you happen to be is $15, your Big Mac meal is going to run between $7.50 and 10 or 11 bucks. And if you live in a place where the minimum wage is lower, your Big Mac meal is going to cost you the same amount of that, the same proportion of that. And I found that was absolutely fascinating. And that really is part of what makes fast food so genius. It doesn't matter where you go in your city, in your state, in the country, or even around the world, a Big Mac always tastes like a Big Mac. A Whopper always tastes like a Whopper, and a Wendy's double always tastes like a Wendy's double, for good or for ill. It's that consistency. And the price, as I discovered doing this research, is pretty dang consistent too, and that is also a part of the genius. You know exactly what you're going to get, and you know pretty dang close to what you're going to pay anywhere in the world. And Wendy's is trying to blow up that. And I don't think that's going to work very well. All right. That's your right angle on that, brought to you by the members of BillWhittle.com. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.